All right, looks like I am live once again. Hope everyone tuning in is doing well. And in this live stream, I want to discuss some recent releases of new products on HyperionHerbs.com and talk about some products that will be upcoming in the next few months. And then in general, talk a little bit about some of the changes and different direction that many of the products will be going in. So I know I haven't done very many product oriented videos as of late and haven't done necessarily a lot on health specifically. And that's something that I will be changing over the upcoming, days, weeks, and months as I've just been kind of in research mode and learning mode. And maybe you've noticed this, maybe you haven't, depending on how long you've been tuning in. But a lot of times my uploads tend to go in waves just because for me, I'm most most often just engaged in living my life and learning and moving forward and exploring and solving problems, coming up with solutions and figuring things out. That's mostly what I'm focused on and put most of my time and energy into. And then it takes a certain amount of time of that to then be able to come on here and try to offer a new perspective or a different perspective or something other than just what I've already done before. Just because for me, I don't think it's particularly interesting to just come on and repeat myself all the time. And probably as a viewer, it's perhaps the same. Although I could be wrong on that because I know a lot of channels tend to just kind of repeat the same stuff over and over again. So, yeah. So without further waffling and rambling on, uh, basically the new products that I've released in the last couple of months is black ginger extract and a new Schisandra extract that just went live last week. And there's also the gynostemma extract that I posted a few months ago, and I think I've already done a video on that. Um, so yeah, the gynostemma, the black ginger extract, and then the Schisandra extract. And then I'll do more in-depth specific videos on the black ginger and the Schisandra in the next week or so, just kind of going over more of the benefits and details of that. So if you haven't checked those out, if you are unfamiliar with those or want to learn more about the benefits, then definitely go to HyperionHerbs.com. And I should probably put a link a link to the product page in the actual description. So I just put it in the description and put it in the chat as well. But you'll see Chaga is back up on the website, and I'm waiting to get the latest stock of that back in, and that's something that I'll be carrying again over the long term. I just mentioned that because a lot of people were asking about that. And then the black ginger and the Schisandra are up as well. Now, black ginger, I'll talk about that one first, then I'll talk about Schisandra, and then I'll talk about what will be coming after these products, which I guess I can just say that now and then circle back. So my plan next is for a really high quality, very potent turkey tail mushroom extract that will be coming, and then an eleuthero extract. So eleuthero is sometimes called Siberian ginseng. So I'm working on both of those at the moment. And also, I'm still working on getting a holy basil or tulsi extract. And this has just been really taken quite a while and presented many dead ends to be able to find something that's actually quality and actually contains the personality of the plant. Bunch of extracts out there that just really don't bring the personality of the plant and the benefits and the effects forward really at all that I've found. I have some samples en route from some other suppliers using very unique extraction processes, so I'm going to test those out and see if it fits the bill. And because I really, really like holy basil or tulsi as an herb, it's up there with gynostemma for me. And I think it's something I'd really like to carry. It's something that I think really can benefit a lot of people, even just in the fact that it can help reduce cortisol levels and reduce stress and reduce inflammation and be very protective. I think it can be very, very much an ally in these very stressful times for a lot of people. So that's coming, and I'm trying to think if there's others, but those are the top three that I'm working on. There's also a really unique ginseng product, uh, like actual ginseng, actual Panax ginseng. I mean, that I'm working on, that I'm still testing. I'm trying to figure out if it's gonna work, because I have certain criteria and things that I look for a product, and if I'm going to carry it, if I'm going to invest in it, if I'm going to stand behind it. There's typically a lot of time, energy that goes in behind it, and then many months or years of me taking it regularly to really have a feel for it inside and out, to be able to confidently speak about it. So I'm working on that, and that's something. It's a type of ginseng product that is not really available on the market. It's not something people have really heard of, and I think it's something that will be really unique and novel, and also be more beneficial and sustainable than most other ginseng products that are available, which is why I don't sell ginseng. And I'm usually not a fan of it because it can be very unbalancing for a lot of people. It can be very aggressive and too overstimulating, which, if a lot of people are already overstimulated, that's the last thing they kind of need. So, yeah, that's what's coming down the pipeline off the top of my head. There could be others that I have on my list that I'm working on that I just don't remember. But that's what I'm working on. And so, yeah, circling back, gynostemma extract, the black ginger extract, and the Schisandra extract are the three that are the most newest additions to the website. Gynostemma is something that I'd sold previously, and I think it's, in my opinion, in my experience, really some of the top three herbs. Let's say gynostemma is in there, Schisandra is in there, holy basil is in there, and reishi. Those, I guess, four would be in my top three, depending on the day or the mood. And why I have that is not necessarily just for my personal preference, but also what actually works well for a wide variety of people, and covers a lot of bases and does a lot of things without a lot of risk for side effects or throwing people out of balance. I really like gynostemma, Schisandra, holy basil, and reishi because they can work for a lot of people, cover a lot of bases, and not throw people out of whack. And I think in terms of adaptogens, what that term actually means, I think gynostemma is one of the best examples of that actual term, meaning genuinely helping your body adapt to stress and adapt to stressors and help modulate and balance a lot of different systems in the body. So I, for many years, sold a gynostemma just loose leaf tea, right? And basically had to stop doing that because the owner of the company that I was sourcing from died. So that was it. Not a lot I could really do to change that scenario. And then there was just a lengthy process of his family taking over the business and trying to get it going again, which took some years. And then they also raised their price quite a bit. And the thing is, at the price point and the quantity that I was selling that product, I was, frankly speaking, barely breaking even on it. And I just sold it because it's such a high quality, and I didn't really want to raise the price beyond what was relative to the market. So I just kind of sold it and just barely broke even on it. So then when they raised their prices, I'm like, well, do I want to raise my prices? Not really. So then it took me some time to actually find something that I thought was actually better. So when I found this gynostemma extract, the one that I'm currently selling, honestly, I thought it was just too strong for people because I would take it, a quarter teaspoon and just be really hit pretty hard by it. And then also the flavor will be really quite strong and quite bitter. And I'm just thinking, yeah, I don't know, this might be really too much for people. And then as I was experimenting and playing around and realizing that I could take, like a few rice grain size dosage and still yield a very potent, strong effect, but have a much more reasonable flavor profile, then I saw the potential of like, well, business wise, it still doesn't actually make that much sense because if I sell a 1 ounce bag that's $35, that's probably a year. If someone took it every day, that's about a year of gynostemma at the dosage that I'm recommending, which is really all a person needs. So business wise, it still really doesn't make that much sense. It's like, cool, you're gonna make $35 a year from a customer for that product. But at the same time, believe in it and I stand behind it. And it's such an amazing product that I'm okay to just to do that, and sell it and offer it because I believe in gynostemma so much, and I want to have it in a format and a price point that's super easy, super accessible, and for people to just get into and use it, most importantly, because this was the whole impetus of me starting the company, was sourcing the best that I could, best quote unquote, and then having it at a price point in a format where people could actually take it and get the benefit. That was the whole idea, which is why back in 2009, 2010, I was offering, bulk discounts and bulk packaging when no one else was. No one else was doing it. And no one was offering these high grade, pure extracts, free of all fillers, flow agents, growth mediums, uh, everything. Just the pure extract in the most minimalist, straightforward packaging, which sometimes, my packaging could be a lot better. Absolutely. But then it's like, well, that's going to cost me more money. So do I want to charge people more money just so the jar looks cool when they're ultimately just going to throw it away anyways? Just keep it simple and straightforward is a little bit more my mindset, and invest everything in the product actually being as good as it can be. So that's kind of the original idea. So selling the gynostemma, which I think is, again, the best adaptogen on the planet, or I would say one of the top adaptogens on the planet, then that was something I basically had to do. So I really, really quite enjoy that product. If you want to read more about it, obviously there's more detailed information on the website. And there's also a bunch of videos on my channel where I go into the deep, specific benefits of that. But just the overarching general idea with gynostemma is that it kind of goes in and helps balance and restore homeostasis through a lot of different systems in our body in an intelligent and balanced way, which I think is really unique in the plant kingdom, really unique in terms of medicine and healing, and something that works for a lot of people across a lot of different contexts and provides a lot of benefits. It's almost like getting an acupuncture treatment or something, is the way I look at it, and also the way it feels when you actually consume it. So that's gynostemma. The second is black ginger extract. And this is another one that took me quite a few years, maybe 4 years or so, to actually dial in and find a source that was checking all the boxes that I was looking for. And most importantly, was actually the right plant. Because there's a lot of people selling black ginger and a lot of suppliers offering black ginger extract, and it's not even the right plant. They're substituting it with a bunch of other things that they think are the same, but it's not. So it doesn't have the right benefits. Um, it still might be fine because it's ginger and in the ginger family, so it can yield effects that are nice, but it's not the right thing. So that was the first criteria, and then getting a really potent amount of the actual active constituent in that product, which is the methoxyflavones in the black ginger, which is what, according to all the research and whatnot, has the most benefits. And even some studies that I read about, people yielded potent effects and benefits from like 1 milligram a day of those active constituents, which is pretty low if you think about it. And that's why the dosage that I have on the website is basically a 16th of a teaspoon, because that yields about 20, it yields about 10 milligrams of the methoxyflavones or the methoxyflavones. I don't know how to pronounce it. It's one of these words that I read a lot, but I'm realizing this is the first time I've actually said them out loud. Just the nature of doing everything online through email and text and writing. You realize you have this word in your head, but you never actually said it out loud or heard anyone else really say it out loud because you're just reading about it. So that's why has a high amount of that, which 10 milligrams of those is still a pretty hefty dose. People can definitely take more depending on if they need it. But personally, I always took a 16th of a teaspoon or less and still yielded quite a lot of benefits, which primarily black ginger orients towards men. And, there's studies that are showing that it actually increases the size of a person's eggplant. Not by a lot, but by a centimeter or so. But that was a reported effect after, I think, 4 weeks at 1 milligram dosage. People notice a lot of enhancements in the bedroom department across the board. PDE, basically Viagra-like effects in terms of enhancing sexual performance, let's say, and erectile response. There's a lot of research and a lot of data on the herb being useful for that. Also for athletic enhancement, hormone health, enhancing recovery, and basically just it's supporting that, let's just say, yang side of things. There's also a decent amount of benefits for women, even though I've noticed that most websites don't really talk about it. But I think the hormone balancing effects are there, the improving blood circulation, reducing inflammation, and then supporting fertility as well. And then lastly, a lot of people notice a mental clarity, sort of cognitive enhancement effect from the black ginger. So that's one that not a lot of companies are really selling, and not a lot of companies are selling an actual really potent form of it at the low price point that I am, because I think it's basically, what is it, 35 cents a dose for, yeah, so there's like 100 dosages per jar if you stick to a 16th of a teaspoon. And then it's less if you get the 4-pack, and then usually even less because I do sales and promos every month. So again, it's another one of those things where I try to find a really high quality or the best, and then offer it in a package in a format where people can actually take it to actually get the benefits. So yeah, that was one that took quite a while to to source and dial in, and I was so relieved when I finally did, because I can't tell you the numerous thousands of dollars I spent chasing that product down and trying to find what I was looking for that checked the boxes. Which, to be totally honest, if I just sold lower quality products, everything would be a lot easier. I could just get black ginger powder, put it in a jar, sell it for $35, post about the benefits of black ginger, and go about my day. And I would make a lot more money, save me a lot more time and energy. But I can't really do that because it's not really true or honest. And it's just doesn't yield the effects. And I guess most importantly, it's not something I would ever want to take. So it doesn't really check any of the boxes that make it interesting to me. Although that's what a lot of companies do, because, you know, a lot of consumers are not informed. A lot of consumers, I will say, are fairly informed. A lot of people I talk to are quite informed, sometimes more informed than me, because they're spending hours and hours and hours a day going deep on sometimes these minute little splitting hair details of a particular product or a particular thing, which, it's part of the power of the internet. But that can work both ways, because I also talk to people who have the same degree of dedication, but maybe go down not as constructive modes of information, let's say, and they end up with a lot of misinformation or incorrect ideas that then causes them confusion and creates more hassle in terms of the marketplace. So yeah, gynostemma, black ginger, and the third most recent release is the Schisandra Extract. Now, if you've been following me since 2010, so 14 years ago, this is, I think, maybe the third Schisandra product that I've sold. And personally speaking, this one I think is the best. It's the most potent, it's the most reliable, it's the most effective, it's the easiest to use with the lowest dosage. Sorry, I was just trying to see if it was raining because I hear rain hitting the window, but the sun's out. But that's that's the Pacific Northwest for you. You just never know. It's like, oh, it's sunny, it's raining. Interesting. So yeah, the Schisandra, this was another one that took me quite a while to really figure out and try to source, and took many years because a lot of the stuff on the market is just really bad, really oxidized, or again, made from not the correct. It might be a combination of not the right species of fruit, or it might be a combination of that with not even the right part of the fruit. They might only do the skin, or only do the seed, or only do some other part of the plant. So all these factors, among others, can yield a pretty inferior product. Whereas the one that I have now and I was able to find, it brings across the actual personality of the fresh fruit, and it's actually made from the right the right species of the fruit, and it's the whole fruit extract, meaning it's the skin and the flesh and then the seed. So you get the full Schisandra experience. And the powder is very aromatic and very very flavorful. So much so that I actually had to send a batch back to my supplier because it was because it had been vacuum sealed. It basically started to cause some clumping because of because it's made from a fruit, because of all the aromatics and the oils, and it's a fruit. So because it still has some fruit sugars, the powder was kind of getting very sticky. So I had to send it back and get a new batch that was not hadn't been vacuum sealed so tightly and wasn't clumping up. The powder was still fine. You could break it up and you could take it. It's just, it was a combination of the fact of it's just an extract made from a fruit, and it's the whole fruit, and it's a very potent extract. So it's just kind of par for the course, which if you've tried the product, or you've one of the people that's bought it last week when I launched it, maybe you've gotten it already. I'm not exactly sure because it's only Tuesday, but people should be getting their orders soon. You'll notice it is also a little sticky. But it's made from a fruit. So there's really no way around that unless we just don't use the fruit. But then it's like, what are we just going to use the seed? Then it's basically not a full extract. So Schisandra, if you haven't tried it, if you're not familiar with it, and you do try it, it will absolutely be an experience unlike anything else you've had. Schisandra has all 5 classical flavors. And because of that, there's nothing else that tastes like it. Meaning you taste it and it's bitter, pungent, salty, sweet, and sour. Primarily, the sour is pretty strong and the bitter is pretty strong. The sweet, not as much, but it's in there, and it just cycles through the flavors. It's really interesting and really odd when you taste it. It's just because you're not used to tasting 5 things all at once. So for that reason, because it has all 5 flavors, it's believed to affect and support all 5 major organ systems, or all 5 major elemental systems in the body within Chinese medicine. And I think, again, if we're speaking about adaptogens that work really well across a wide spectrum and have a lot of benefits with minimal side effects and don't throw people out of whack, Schisandra is definitely one of them. It's another herb that can boost mental clarity and focus and concentration without being stimulating and without being imbalancing and without throwing people out of whack. Because there's a bunch of stuff that can yield those effects short term, but then they kind of have a price to pay or a sharp edge. It's also something that can really enhance sexual function in men and women, but again, without throwing people out of whack and without being aggressively stimulating or throwing people off balance. And a lot of that I think, comes from its ability to kind of condense and astringe. So the effect that I feel when I take Schisandra is very similar to when I do like a Nagong set for the water element. Because Nagong set for the water element is basically anchoring the kidneys down into the water region of the body, which is kind of like back of your pelvis and your lumbar region. That would be the water region. So basically, like you're up here, you have your lungs and metal region, and then you have the water. And when I take Schisandra, it feels like the water gets kind of magnetically pulled down to, or the metal gets magnetically pulled down to the water, and it kind of anchors, which that's exactly what kidney or one of the sets of Nagong for the water element is basically what it's doing, is anchoring everything down and condensing it in the water region of the body, and kind of like having this down and in anchoring and this condensing, astringing sort of effect. So when I take Schisandra, it has that effect. Obviously, not to the same degree of doing an hour of Nagong, but it's a similar quality when I take it. Even if I just think about it, the somatic reflex is in my system that I can just think about it and I feel the same thing of like basically my lungs and my diaphragm getting magnetically pulled down into my lumbar and my pelvis, which that alone I think is one of the most potent and beneficial things for everyone's health and longevity. Because in terms of Chinese medicine, the kidneys are the root of life and the root of health and the root of longevity. And if you start to feel stressed, it's what I talked about in another live stream. Everything kind of goes up and you feel feel a little bit short of breath. Your voice starts to get a little bit constrained. You feel a little anxious. Your head feels a little light and loopy. So this effect of everything basically anchoring and rooting down and in counters all of that stuff, meaning it calms people down. It has anti-stress effects, and it increases our ability to concentrate and focus. Because let's say if we're just doing like caffeine and coffee and other types of aggressive stimulants, that just shoots things up, which that works for a while, but usually it depletes the water at the bottom, and then you just kind of get depleted and you have a kind of a little bit of a come down. Whereas if you actually just calm down, anchor, root, stabilize, astringe, then you have the effects of clarity and concentration and focus without the stimulation. So then basically you get the benefits without the side effects and the drawbacks, and those just accumulate over time. Just like doing, water, doing a Nagong set to tonify and help support the water element, same thing. And I think it's just one of the best things that really everyone across the board can do, because you're not going to meet someone who's, at least in the modern world in America, you're not going to meet, it's very rare that you would meet someone whose kidneys are just so good and they're so rooted and they're so anchored. Because just the way the way our world functions now is the opposite to that. People exist in the opposite state, and basically they're just depleting. And so basically, what's the opposite of drawing down and in, condensing and anchoring, is up and out. Which, if you think about all the media, all the stimulation, all the emotionality, all the excess mental stuff people are doing, is just exactly that. So it's just ultimately depleting their kidneys and the water element, and overall lowering their health and vitality, which is what I talk about a lot. What I talked about in that last live stream primarily. And once you orient your system to engage in that way, it's kind of like you have a bucket and you're dumping water in, but there's a bunch of holes at the bottom. It's just a matter of time. And you can get bigger buckets and dump more water in, but wouldn't it be more efficient to just learn how to anchor and root and condense? And then I think learning to exist in the world from in that way is more beneficial and sustainable for the long term. And it can resolve and heal a whole bunch of health issues and mental emotional imbalances automatically. Because basically, it's just the idea where I see it happen a lot. People start Neigong or they start doing internal training, like, oh, I have X, Y, and Z. What should I do? And the teacher's like, just sink your chi. Like, sink, anchor, build your dantian. No, but I have this. What should I do? Exactly what I just said. Well, no, but I have this thing. What should I do? Do this thing across the board for pretty much everyone. And it's like if you can do that and strengthen that mechanism in the body, a lot of other things just sort of auto regulate. So that's why when it comes to herbs like gynostemma and Schisandra, I'm a big fan because of this auto regulation adaptogenic effect. Alongside with the other things that I talk about in live streams in terms of actually reflecting on our habits and our behaviors and our actions and making changes there. Does it have any negative side effects / health inhibitors? Not that I'm aware of, or not that I've seen, not that I've personally ever experienced. But of course, I'm sure there are instances in which that could be the case. I'm not sure what you mean by health inhibitors. I'm curious if you could explain what you mean by health inhibitors. That would help me understand it a bit more. But yeah, I've not really seen or experienced any negative side effects. And I mean, aside from the taste, a lot of people think the flavor is kind of a negative side effect because it's so interesting and strong. But I think it also comes down to dosage. I tend to dose people pretty low and pretty conservatively, which I think even the dosage on the Schisandra is 1/16 of a teaspoon, which is quite low, but it's still actually quite a strong dosage because I think, I can't remember off the top of my head. But yeah, so I would say that. Obviously, if someone is on blood thinners or heart medication or blood pressure medication, then they would need to be careful with taking any herb for that matter, Schisandra especially, but really any herb. If people are on those medications, you got to be pretty darn careful and not just be super cavalier about taking herbs and supplements. Although I have known people that were on blood pressure medication and then basically were able to get off of it because they were taking gynostemma and they didn't change anything else. You just regulated. Kale is good for you, but it has a high amount of MSG and it should not be ingested too often. Kale has MSG? I've never heard that. Do you mean MSG? I think there's a different word. He means not sulfites, but oxalates. Do you mean kale has a lot of oxalates? And that's what basically... Let's see, does kale have MSG? Yeah, I don't see anything on Google about kale and MSG. This website says what foods naturally contain MSG, and the highest amount is anchovies, ham, mackerel, clams, and certain types of cheese and mushrooms. I don't really see anything about kale, but also if it's naturally occurring in the food, personally speaking, I don't worry about it. I don't really care, personally, because I don't have significant liver or kidney issues. People that usually have really bad kidney or liver issues have to worry about oxalates and worry about all these other subcategories of chemicals in foods because their body can't process it properly. So it will accumulate and then can cause problems. But if you're not someone who has severe food allergies or digestive problems, I don't really worry about it. Again, um, and again, I didn't really see anything about kale having MSG. I'd never heard that until now. I thought people were more worried about the oxalates in kale. But again, it again just comes down to dosage. If you sit down and eat 2 gallons of kale juice, then yeah, it might be problematic. Like people that were doing celery juice fast and drinking massive amounts of celery, okay, yeah, that might be problematic. But like if you cook kale and you have the equivalent of a leaf on your plate that's been sauteed and cooked down, is that really going to be a problem? And then at a certain point, which is worse? All the worry and mental stress and strain and mental energy that goes into worrying about it and researching it and doing that, or just your kidneys and liver can just process and eliminate whatever. So I don't know. That's just my personal opinion. Of course, everyone has to do their own, due diligence for their particular condition. But in terms of that, Schisandra doesn't have any health inhibitors that I'm aware of. And again, comes back to dosage and amount. Um, but again, this is not really my expertise. I'm not really, I guess, orthorexic is the way I would look at it, where I'm anxiously analyzing all these different foods and all these different chemicals and microchemicals and nutrients and anti-nutrients and all these different things. It's more, I guess, Dr. Paul Saladino and a lot of other people, that's more their cup of tea. That's just not something I really get into or worry about, personally speaking. But again, you gotta do what you gotta do for yourself. So can I take lion's mane and black ginger? Yeah, that's no problem. Um, I would say everything I sell on the website can be mixed and matched. And if there's any contraindications or issues to worry about, then I would put that on the website for people, because I think for some of the products I do, like Makuna and maybe the ginger, I think I put on there like who should not take this. I think I did. Yeah, I did put that for at the bottom of the black ginger. Um, and then for the Makuna as well. So I try to be a bit clear if there's going to be any big clash or contraindication, but otherwise, basically everything else on this website is fine to mix and match. And also too with the ginger and the spiciness, it can possibly enhance the lion's mane. Which, speaking of the lion's mane, I can read you something that someone just sent me about a doctor that was doing research with my lion's mane and said it was the strongest anti-cancer thing that they had seen. Again, I didn't say the C word, but that's just what they said. I would never say that on YouTube, and of course, never make any claims to that. They just said the doctors. Okay, let me see. Basically, they do a test where they measure the lymphocytes and inflammation in the blood. The premise is that when systemic inflammation is eliminated, disease cannot really manifest or proliferate. And basically, when they did this round of testing of blood, they found that the lion's mane was by far the most effective thing for, I guess, lowering systemic inflammation. And they said it was one of the uh, she said it kills certain types of cells more quickly and effectively than anything she's ever seen. And this doctor has been doing research and doing this kind of testing for 40 years. And they used my lion's mane and reported those types of benefits. But again, not making any claims, not making any assertions, just relaying what someone told me, because I get stories and things like this from clients somewhat regularly, and I have done so over the years. I just tend to not really broadcast it as much because of just whatever implications of making claims. But that's just what someone said, and about the lion's mane that I saw on the website. So I think that's cool. I hope they test gynostemma and some of the other products as well, because again, it's an aspect of what I say about balancing out the body and kind of recalibrating things rather than trying to just go after different symptoms, right? Which has its time and its place. But personally speaking, if we're talking about natural health and healing, we should be a little more geared towards prevention. So yeah, I thought that was interesting. I just mentioned it because you brought up lion's mane, and I'd had someone said something similar about my cordyceps a few years ago, where they were measuring blood oxygen levels, and they saw someone their blood oxygen levels were so low that they were needed to take oxygen. And then when they took the cordyceps, it actually brought them back up to normal levels and they didn't need the oxygen. And they had a bunch of other interesting stories along those lines as well. So, anywho, gynostemma, black ginger, Schisandra. I think I've talked about those. And if you want to learn more about specific benefits, ins and outs, read the product pages on the website. And then I'm going to do follow-up videos on each one, just going into a little bit more detail. So yeah, I've talked about the new products. I've talked about the new products that will be coming after these new products. And then also the last thing that I want to say, which some people watching this may have already noticed this, but I'm in the process of making this change, which is all the major products that are in a 4-ounce offering are going to be switching over to 100-gram offerings, which, if you not know the conversion of ounces to grams, the current package is 4 ounces, which is 112 grams, moving over to 100 grams. So that's a 12-gram differential. And I'm doing this for a few different reasons. The first is that I've not raised any of my prices ever at all, as far as I can tell. From when I launched the company in 2010, now 14 years later, my products or my prices are the same in terms of what I charge. So my retail prices are the same versus what I pay, and my cost to produce the goods has only done this, tripled, quadrupled in some instances, which means my margins have shrank. And I've been trying to figure out what to do, and I didn't really want to raise my prices. So I figured this was the easiest step to do that, is just convert everything over to 100 grams. That also really helps me production side, because if I'm dealing in a 100-kilogram batch and doing it in ounces, created uneven production, whereas doing it at 100 grams, it creates an even production. So then I can, it's just a lot more efficient. Also, people will notice that it's going to be a different packaging with like a custom printed pouch that's 100 grams, but otherwise it's exactly the same. It's the same product. Um, Quality will never go down. Sometimes, depending on the product, depending on what crazy stuff is happening in the world, I might have to juggle between a supplier or two, depending on the product, but the quality will never go down. It will always be at my certain level. and I'll never go below that. And if I have to go below that level or I can't meet that level, then I will just stop selling it, which is what I've done for many products over the years. If something happens or it goes away, I'll just stop. Like for example, I sold black ginger for a little while, I think in 2020, and then I dropped it from the website shortly thereafter because the supply and the quality wasn't there, so I stopped. So that's just basically across the board. It doesn't matter what the product is. I won't compromise on the quality, and it will have to be at a certain level. Otherwise, there's no point. Because my business model is simply this: sell something that's good, and then people, if they take it and it's good, they'll want to buy it again, hopefully. And if they take it and it's good, they'll want to tell other people about it if it's good. So then other people will buy it too. That's it. So if I sold really low quality products or products that didn't really weren't on the level that I find acceptable, then business wise, I think it would be a short term kind of thing. Which it's funny over the years, people have been like, "Oh, he's a scammer." Really? 14 years of the same exact scam? Like no change? Like I'm selling the same exact scammy products for 14 years at the same exact price point? Really? I'm a scammer? Okay. People have sometimes say that. I'm just like, okay, man, I don't like if building a company over the course of 14 years is a scam, I don't we have very different ideas of what a scam is. Um, so yeah, that's just funny when people will sometimes say that. And actually, at a certain point, that's why I backed away from even doing videos about products and herbs to begin with, because I was just didn't really want to deal with, frankly speaking, morons who didn't know what they were talking about. Like I remember on Amazon one time, someone was like, left a review on one of the products when I used to sell on Amazon. They were like, Brandon used to sell really good products, but I think he's a scammer now. And the product that I just bought is celery powder. He put celery powder in my product. And I'm like, what? Like, what? What reality are we living in here, guys? Like, this is so far from the truth. Um, it's like, yeah, I spent a decade of my life on the internet putting my face and my name on everything just to scam someone out of $10. Oh, I got their $10. Oh, yeah, great. That just seems like a lot of work, a lot of hassle um, to scam someone on something like, yeah. So, but I mean, that's just dealing with people. It doesn't matter the industry. If you're dealing with a wide enough aspect, and anyone who works in customer service or any front facing public job knows this. You deal with enough people across a long enough period of time, you're going to deal with some crazies. But also on the flip side, mostly every single person that I've ever dealt with over the last 14 years has been really cool and genuine and nice and polite and kind or whatever, which is great. It's very very nice, especially considering the wild west that is the internet and YouTube. The fact that the vast majority of people are cool and seem to be intelligent and good-hearted and polite. It's great. I'm definitely very appreciative of that. And it's also why I have zero tolerance for people that are just unhinged, mentally unstable, or just lack basic manners or are really entitled. Which is also why, for better or worse, over the years, I've actually fired not a lot, but some, maybe a handful of customers that will contact me uh, and be very rude or hostile or insulting or denigrating. And I'm just kind of like, look, man, you're not dealing with some minimum wage employee that you can just do whatever you're doing to. Like, I'm the founder and the owner of the company. I'm speaking to you now, human to human. What if there is an issue or there is a problem? I'm here. I will absolutely do everything I can to resolve it and help you and produce the best outcome possible. but like at least learn how to just communicate in a basic human way. And if they can't do that, then it's like, okay, well, please never buy from me again. Here's all your money back. Here's a refund. Here's other companies you can buy from, but don't order from my website ever again. And don't email me. I don't need your money. And I don't like, that phrase where people used to say this, like, oh, it's none of your business. So that's implying that there's this thing that you know better than anyone else, that you've worked hard for, that no one else really has the right to denigrate or mess with. So I kind of want to remind people, like, no, this is literally my business. Like, I'm the guy that you're talking to, and it's literally my business. So I'm going to say, no, I'm not going to tolerate this kind of behavior. I'm sorry, whatever circumstances are conspiring in your life or in your past history that enable you to feel like it's okay to speak to someone in this manner over something so minor and so trivial. And oftentimes it's actually usually they're wrong, which is the other kind of humorous part about it. Usually what they're saying isn't true. Like, something that's happened before is people will write these really hostile emails like, you're a scammer, you charged my company, I'm gonna call my bank and I'm gonna file a criminal whatever on you, and how dare you do this. And I'm kind of like, hello, I'm really sorry to hear that. I just searched my order history and I don't have any order under your first name, your last name, or your email. So if you could give me more information, I'd love to look into your order, see if there's an issue or see what happened or see whatever. And then there'll be like, oh, sorry, I guess I didn't actually order from you. I'm like, okay, well, don't worry about apologizing for all the insults you just lofted at myself and my company and my business, which is something I might have a little bit of sensitivity to, since it's something that I put my name and my face and my personality and 14 years of my life behind. It's not, sure, freely, casually insulted and personally attack me, but don't worry about apologizing when you're wrong. It's fine. And I just say, okay, well, I'm glad we can get this figured out. If you need anything in the future, I'm here to help. I'm always, an email away. Happy to answer any questions or point you in the right direction should you require any assistance. So, yeah. Oh, yeah. Ben knows this one all too well. I placed my order Saturday night. I haven't received it yet. It hasn't shipped yet. Why are you such a scammer? It's like, well, it's 9 a.m. on Sunday morning and it's the weekend. So maybe that's why I haven't shipped your order yet, because I'm not Amazon. And, certain fulfillment centers and businesses are closed on the weekend because it's the weekend. Oh, you're a scammer. I want my money back. It's like, you placed your order 8 hours ago. I think we're still well within the realm of reasonable. But anyways, that's kind of a tangent and not really the point of the live stream. So yeah, just again, wanted to go over those 3 new products. I highly, highly recommend them if you haven't tried them, depending on if they fit, your goals. But I think gynostemma and Schisandra work really well for a lot of people and cover a lot of bases and yield a lot of benefits for a really low cost, really little investment of time and energy, meaning like put a little bit of a rice grain in some hot water and drink it, or just eat it straight up. And it does a lot of things. And I'm just saying this based on my nearly 20 years of using these types of products. And also, not to mention 5,000 years of Chinese medicine, but surely they didn't know anything. It just existed as the most cohesive, in check, sound form of medicine the human nature has ever seen. But yeah, they didn't really know anything. It's fine. There's nothing to it. It's all just placebo. Sure. Anyways, thanks for tuning in. And if there's no more questions, I'll probably jump off here because I gotta eat some nachos. Oh, bummer. Ethereum is down 7% right now. So So it's down to 3,500 if anyone has crypto. Anyways, yeah, thanks for tuning in. And there's no other questions. Then I will jump out of here. Try to keep this within a reasonable length and not make it go on 2-3 hours like some of these other live streams. Let's see. But yeah, I'll be doing more videos soon on more health related topics, talk about more devices and such that people can use to improve their health, such as this device, which is the Pulsetto vagus nerve stimulator that I've been using for the last few weeks. And MIB says the new gynostemma extract is fire, fire, and fire. I would definitely agree, and I appreciate you saying that and for trying the product. If you haven't left a review on the website, it'll be much appreciated because reviews help. And funny enough, I had my company for over a decade, and I didn't get any reviews. I just didn't think of it. It wasn't a thing. So yeah, if you have tried it and you liked it, it'd be great if you could leave a review if you haven't already. I don't know who you are since your YouTube handle is MIB, but yeah, glad you like it. I think it's an amazing extract, especially at the price point and the dosage level. Dosage level is very low. People kind of doubt me on that and think that, oh, there's no way it can be this low, but trust me, it's all you need. So anyways, yeah, thanks for saying that. Definitely appreciate it. And thanks for your support. Anyways, that's all I have for today. I'll be back again soon, I'm sure, with more just uplifting and joyous, heart-centered messages that will inevitably trigger infinite bliss and joy within all those who listen. Let me see if I do the heart emoji, if it will. It does, man. The AI knows. Oh, there we go. All right, everyone, enjoy your day, night, or morning, wherever you are on the planet, and I will speak to you soon.